Hello YouTube friends, it's Sunday again and I'm quilting, hand quilting again, but on a different quilt this time. I have a quilt commission for February and we've nearly run out of February, so I'm trying really hard to stay on track with the quilt commissions as I have them. There are no more available in the shop now. I'm going to be working on them all year. This one though was delayed because of that trip I made to Canada to see my kids, and I wouldn't have not gone for anything, but it does mean that I am now running really fast to catch up. That's fine. So I'm going to chat to you guys while I hand quilt. Now this quilt then, it's a much simpler design. It's all Kaffe Fassett fabrics and they're all from one range, which means that they work together absolutely brilliantly. And so it's a range called Dusky, if you want to look it up. I got these from a place called Cotton Patch, which is an online quilt suppliers in this country. I find it quite hard to find quilting fabric because I really like to see it in person, and unless I go to one of the big quilt shows like the one in the NEC in Birmingham, which I've been to a few years running, you can't actually get to see the quilts. I live, you know, a long way away from anywhere that sells decent amounts of quilting cotton. However, that's as maybe. I'm quilting this, they're 5-inch squares that finish at 4.5, and I'm quilting them on the diagonal here, and I'll come back this way here so that will add an extra little bit of interest there. The back of this one is beautiful. It's also Kaffe Fassett fabric. Yeah, I'll show you that at the end maybe. And so I'm going to sit here and quilt with you guys. As usual, when I'm working on something that's not for me, the cats are all in the sitting room. I've just opened a new type of dried biscuit for them, and they've all gone bonkers for it. It's nice to have a new one sometimes, isn't it? You know yourself, you know, you get a bit bored with the same food all the time. Well, they've got a new one, so they're liking that. So that the quilt lines are coming every 6 inches, just as it happens, and I'm just drawing in the line with this white chalk, which you can't even see, but I can just about see it for a quilt line. I've got other quilt markers, but this is working absolutely fine. So it's been quite a week of rain here, absolute pouring rain. The garden is just so sodden, standing water everywhere. I mean, I'm fine because, you know, I'm not down in the valley. The people who are in the valley where the rivers are swollen, they're having a really hard time of it. But, you know, for me, I just see it running down the roads and off down to add to the problems they have further down the hill. But it has meant that it's been wet and horrible weather for doing anything outdoors. I had a car malfunction this week, which took up an inordinate amount of time. You know how that happens. So one whole day was spent messing around in the garage, but it's fine now. It's quite dull. What else has been going on? Well, I suppose I've had a lot of backwards and forwards with girl Rita in Canada, because when I was visiting, she and I did quite a lot of work towards the new thing that I can now tell you about, which is the Last Homely House website, which I'm quite excited about. For ages now, I've wanted to have everything in one place, all under one umbrella, so that you can go to one URL, one address, and find everything: Instagram, the shop, pictures, the Patreon, all the things that I'm involved with. You can find them all, YouTube, all under one umbrella. So we have that now, and so I'll obviously put the link in the description below. But if you go to thelasthomelyhouse.co.uk, you'll find all of those things. You'll also be invited to join a newsletter, which is just going to be a mailing once a month to tell you about the new products that are in the shop. So girl Rita and I have been working really hard. I'm not sewing. You have to shout at me if I'm not sewing, because I have to crack on with this. Have I got to close the curtains? yeah, I think I'm just going to close the curtains, guys, because you're not going to be able to see a thing. It's a shame, but the sun's really bright. Whoops, a daisy. Okay, that's a shame to shut the sunshine out, but the sun's really bright here, so that's what we have to do. So Girl Rita and I have worked on this website then for the last few weeks, and it's live today. And so which means that the link to the shop in the description below is no longer the old shop link, it's the new, there's no change to what's in the shop, except that every month there's going to be a new product, either something I've made, or as in this next few weeks, it's candles from the candle maker Ted. I went to see him a week ago. Did I? Whenever I went anyway, Monday I think. And I selected from his amazing range of candles. He has such fabulous colours of candles that they make there. And what I've decided to do for the shop is to collect together a bunch of colours that remind me of spring. Then in a couple of months' time, I'll go and get the summer colours, and then autumn, and obviously then winter. So there'll be 4 different lots of candles available in the shop, depending on what season it is. So I've just done the spring candles, and I think they look rather lovely. It was really nice. He's got such a lot of colours to choose from. They're all in these scrappy boxes in his workshop. And there's the guys who work there who helped me, Robin and Rory, who helped me to select the colours. And then I had them all selected together, and there they were, the 6 that I liked. And then Ted came along. Now, Ted has been making candles for years, decades. And he looked at my selection and he said, "Nah, you need a different one there. You don't need that, you need this." And so he replaced one of the colour candles, and he was right. It worked much, much better, because he's the expert at this, isn't he? So there's a pack of 6 candles, just lovely little candles. Can you see that kind of size? And then I also got some of his wonderful hand-dipped beeswax candles. So they're in the shop as well, along with the books and the cards that are always there. Oops, they're the standard things that are always in the shop. The bundle of 7 books and the individual books. So pop along to the shop, because there's an invitation to join the mailing list. And what we're going to do for the first month of March, because it's nearly March, that the shop is live, I'm going to do a prize draw at the end of March for everyone who's on the mailing list. The mailing list just means that once a month, once a month, you will get 1 email telling you what the new product is going to be for that month. And so I know that, March's product is actually the candles. So I know it's not March yet, but we're ready to go. So we've decided that we'd just go for it. So yeah, it's all there. So the link will be in the description below this video. And so give me any feedback you like about that. Now, no, don't take your glasses off and look at the camera, Kate. Keep sewing. Okay. Last video, I asked you for feedback. Oh my word, you gave me feedback. It was unbelievable. I said, if you like visiting here at the Last Homely House, what other channels do you like watching? Well, I got over 1,000 comments on that video last week. If you're looking for more channels that are a bit like this one, I recommend you go and look through the comments, because you might see some old favourites. I did, but I found loads and loads of new channels. So I've spent an inordinate amount of time checking out all these fantastic recommendations of yours. Some of them were known to me, but quite a lot of them weren't, and I've had a lovely time finding new channels. So thank you very much indeed to everyone on the sofa. What was the other thing we decided we needed on the sofa? Because on the sofa there are cushions, tea, coffee, biscuits, cats. People wanted a cat on their knee. That's fine. I'll send the cats down, share them out. So for everyone who's on the sofa, will you please go and look at those comments and go and visit some of these other people? Wow, amazing. So thank you very, very much indeed. I did try to get in to reply to as many comments as I could, but I've looked at loads of the channels that you suggested, so I'm thrilled about that. So thank you for that. And so I was asking for recommendations, wasn't I? No, it's gone now. Whenever I lose track of what I'm talking about, when I come to do the edit of this, I remember. It's very strange being inside my head. It's quite nice though. Okay then guys, so the new website's there, new products going in. Once a month there'll be a new product. There'll be one email a month to the people on the mailing list just telling you what the new product is. I'm not going to pester people and fill their inboxes with emails. Good. No, Rita's worked really, really hard on the website. And in Canada, we had lots of lovely FaceTimes and it's gone very well indeed. Very well. So what else has been going on? There's a hen looking at me through the window there, because the hens are all in the garden at the moment. Soon, once the garden dries out a bit, I'll be putting them back in the hen run so that I can start preparing the garden for the summer. But there's not a chance of doing that anytime soon with the wet that there is. So they all sit on the windowsill and look at me through the window. This is just hot water today. That's what I felt like. Okay, so another thing then. Tonight, today's the 23rd of February. But tonight, at what time is it now? 11:30. So at 7 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time, I'm going to do the second of the live streams that I do over on Patreon. Now, the Patreon live streams are going very, very well. They're less stressful than trying to do a main channel live stream. The questions have all been submitted last week on a special post that I made, and there's some really interesting questions this time. I'm looking forward to answering them. I've just jotted them all down in my book. And so the Patreon live stream works like this. It's once a month on the last Sunday of the month, unless there's some sort of family thing that will get in the way of that. And it's for everyone from the $5 tier and above. So what's $5? It's not even a cup of coffee in a posh coffee shop, is it? Or less than the price of a magazine. And it's meant for me that it's a much, much less stressful experience. You know, to do this to a smaller group of people and to a group of people who actually want to be there, so I don't have to appoint moderators. It's really nice. So that's happening tonight at 7 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time, and every last Sunday of the month. It'll be a post the week before, just asking you to submit questions, and then off we go live. And I did it last month and I was a little bit anxious about it, and it went so easy and so straightforward. So this month I'm not even slightly concerned about it, not at all. Yeah, so that's great. Okay, so there's quite a lot of housekeeping there, isn't there? You know, the new website. The website is a Squarespace website. So if anybody is looking to thinking to start a website, it's very, very user-friendly indeed. Really straightforward. Even I can manage it, but with a lot of help from Rita, who has made it look like it does. If she's done some clever things, which I like a lot. It's great. Yeah, so that's good. I popped in to see Martha and Adam and the baby on Friday, which was a delight. She's 4.5 months old now, and she's bouncing up and down in one of those bouncing harness things. Absolutely adorable. You could sell tickets It's so wonderful. She absolutely loves it, and she laughs her little head off when when she's in that thing. It's great. Okay. So once I've finished this quilt, there's a couple of months before the next one is due. So I'm going to take a break from quilting, but I'm going to do some bookbinding, because that's the next thing that it's just it's in my head, and it's in my head bothering me so much that I actually want to get on and do it. So I'm going to do some bookbinding. Now, I know I've bound books with you in the past. You know, we've got the journal style book, which I did a tutorial on in a few parts. And we also got the Japanese stab bound book. I'm not even so Kate, so I'm not sure if I didn't actually make pamphlet style with you as well. Anyway, the book that I want to make next is Coptic bound books. And I've got a Coptic bound book that I'm going to show you that I made some years ago, which is a little bit special. But then I'm going to make some simpler ones. They're for one of the Patreon rewards, in fact. So there's a little spoiler alert for if you're on that tier, guys. Your next thing, if I can manage to do it, is a Coptic bound book, or maybe the month after. I don't know. Sometime this year, you'll get that. So it's all going well, very well. It's nice to have the car back again working. I got it back in time to go to the cinema with some friends, and I went to see A Beautiful Day in the Neighbourhood, which is all about Mr. Rogers. Now, if you are in the US and you grew up with Mr. Rogers, all I can say is, how lucky were you? We have nobody like him in the UK, nobody. And I'd never heard of him until this movie. And my friends and I wanted to go and see it, and I thought, well, I don't know anything about Mr. Rogers, but I like Tom Hanks, so go on, we'll give it a try. Well, I came away from it so emotional and impressed. I just absolutely loved it. I loved it. And I kept waiting for the camera to stop rolling on his little show, a lovely day in the neighbourhood, or whatever it's called, and for him to sort of relax into being, sort of like an ordinary person. And he never did, because he was like that all the time. Well, I just loved it. I'm going to have to go and see it again, or at least get the DVD so I can watch it again. I mean, it's quite a dark story in parts, but it's a truthful story. And one of the things I really loved was how the action, I mean, I'm not doing any spoilers here if you haven't seen it, but the action went between the miniatures that were in his like his puppet sets and live action, and how that seamlessly went from one to the other. I loved all of that, because I really like little tiny model villages and all of that. I love all of that. Anyway, we had nobody like him growing up. I was on the way home, I was talking to the friends, and I was trying to work out who do we have who would equate to him. And we had this guy, Johnny Morris, when I was growing up, who was like a zookeeper, and he just made up stories about the animals and did the voices of the animals, and he was a sweetie, and Johnny Morris was lovely. Zoo Time was it called. And then we had Tony Hart, who was also another really sweet guy, who did a program which was for hearing impaired children. Well, it was for everyone, but it was particularly for hearing impaired children, because we had someone who was doing sign language there. What was her name? She was really nice. Anyway, I'm hearing the tune in my head now, because they would do the gallery at the end where people had sent in pictures, and the pictures were there in the gallery. And so it must have been, I never sent anything in, but it must have been a real thrill if you'd done a picture to send in to Tony Hart. And there's a cat trying to get in. She's shut in the sitting room. It's Sadie, I know it is. She wants to come and sleep on the windowsill. I'll let her, I think. Because Sadie doesn't actually bomb my work and insist on lots of cuddles like Norma does. she actually just settles down in her favourite spot over there, so I'll let her in. Yeah, so what was I talking about? Yeah, Mr. Rogers. Wow, what an amazing guy. What an amazing guy. I really enjoyed that movie. So if you haven't seen it yet, I strongly advise it. And if you have, and you grew up with Mr. Rogers, can I just say, how lucky are you to have had that kind of a lovely influence in your childhood. There's a scene in the movie, I mean, I told you there'd be no spoilers, but here's a spoiler, where he's in a railway carriage, and this was apparently a true thing that really happened. And he's got this theme tune, which is quite a complicated tune, in fact. You know, it's not an easy little ditty to sing. And it was just lovely. I won't say any more than that if you haven't seen it yet. It was really, really sweet. Lovely. That was nice. Yeah, good. Good. I think that's all that's happened this week. It's been quite a nice week. Visiting the candles and... Oh! I did visit another of my friend's studios. Someone else who's going to be one of the products in the shop. Not yet though, maybe in 1 or 2 months' time. I think we'll just leave that hanging there. So we've got a few of my maker friends who are happy to make things to go in the shop on a monthly basis. And of course I'll be making things as well. It's too cold to go to my pottery studio, far too cold. And so I haven't had my hands in clay this year, which is, as soon as the weather turns a bit warmer, I'll get back to it. So guys, I think I'm definitely going to keep doing this. I'm going to try and get at least all the crossways ones done in one direction today. That's my aim, before the live stream starts tonight. So, and I'll have a bit of supper before it. We didn't eat, John and Anna were here last time, and we didn't eat till after it, and it was quite late, so I'll have some supper. I mean, now that I'm talking about stuff like this, it's time to go, isn't it? Because I'm scraping the barrel. Whoops-a-daisy. Got that caught there. Okay, guys, so I might see you later on the live stream, and if not, I'll see you soon on the YouTubes. I'll finish this. I really want to finish this, and then we're going to get on with some books, which is going to be, well, it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to doing them, to do some bookbinding. Maybe into March we'll get those done. Yeah. So I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll stop now, and I won't even edit this. I'll just put it straight up exactly as is, and that means that I can get back to sewing this without a break. And so I'm looking down the sofa now. It's an awfully long way. I can't see the end at all. And so what I'm going to ask you to do is just move up a little bit or make some spaces for the people who haven't yet subscribed. So subscribe, give me a thumbs up. If you subscribe, you get a seat on the sofa and your own footstool. Now, the thing about the footstools is all the tops of the footstools are all made out of beautiful patchwork fabric. You didn't know that, did you? It's true. So subscribe if you're enjoying it here. Like, share, comment, pop across to the shop, and check me out on Patreon if you fancy having a chat with me later tonight. Take care. I'll see you next time. Bye now.